How you doing today, folks? Now, by far, my most requested video ever has always been show my knife collection. And honestly, the reason why I haven't is because there's a whole bunch of different caveats. One, I have knives that makers, for whatever reason, have requested I did not show. Some of those makers released a very select number of knives and never ever released another one, and they want their name to kind of fade in the annals of history for whatever personal reason. Others were personal friends of mine that made a one-off exception to the rule, and they do not want to be bombarded for other people requesting knives. And some, honestly, just started out really bad, and recently they've absolutely blown up, and they want everybody to forget where they started, and they want to focus on where they are now and where they're going in the future. Either way, those makers have trusted me with their products and their time for years, and those knives are not on the table. They'll never be shown, photographed, or put on video, ever. I respect their opinion. I don't understand it completely, but I definitely respect it. I also loan out a whole bunch of knives to other channels. There's currently 34 knives out for review. Those knives will come back in some random order, and more of them will ship out as soon as I get them back. So I never ever have the full collection at any one point in time. So this is not all of the collection, this is most of the collection. Honestly, again, I never have all my knives at any one point in time, which is kind of weird. But I also kind of love it because I get to pass around all the love and joy this hobby brings me. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, share, most importantly, comment, because I want to talk to everybody. I love you guys. It makes me happy to talk to you. So, without further ado, this is my knife collection. Part 1 anyways, because I have 148 knives currently. And to put all of those on camera will take a long time, and I don't want to record a 2-hour long video. So here's part 1 of my knife collection. Alright, now as you can see, this beautiful chaos is in no particular order. We got customs, productions, Midtechs, budgets, and a couple times over a couple of grand. And they are all over the place. Also, I did some math and we have about 30 grand worth of knives here. I have a problem, folks. Anyways, I expect this to be a long video, so this is going to be part 1 of I don't know how many parts, at least 2 or 3. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so the first 3 knives that are going to be shown, I've actually hand-picked because I want to have a nice little diversification, but everything after the first 3 is completely random. I have them all in a box on the side of me. I'm basically going to reach down, dig one out, and then pull it out completely at random, so what's coming up, you will be just as surprised as I will. But first things first, this is a knife that I absolutely adore. This is the ZT-0460. But in particular, this is a ZT that is customized with these extra thick carbon fiber, red twill carbon fiber that is, scales on both sides, as well as the actual thumb disc by my good friend Eric Shepard, or Shepard Custom Creation on Instagram. This knife flicks out reliably, drops down very smoothly. I just cut myself, that's going to hurt in a couple seconds. It is a beautiful functional knife that is made absolutely perfect thanks to Shepard CC with fantastic ergonomics, and is a prime example of what this community has to offer. If a knife is not perfect as is, chances are there's somebody in our wonderful community that can make it perfect for you, and that is a beautiful thing. Speaking of that community, here is the Blade HQ exclusive Tonto Satin M4 PM2 with these beautiful, insanely gorgeous grinds. I'm not normally a huge fan of the Tonto knife, but damn, on this one, it just looks pretty. This very almost translucent G10. There is a very subtle jade hue to it. It's really pretty. And again, these grinds are a genuine thing of beauty. People are going nuts for these knives. They're selling for insane prices, 2-3 times above retail. Like, it's an unfortunate piece of our community, but at the same time, it's beautiful, so I kind of understand it. The PM2 is not normally a knife for me, but in this Tonto variant, it honestly just sits so perfectly. It looks so pretty, and the action is just incredible. That extra weight on the tip makes it actually drop down perfectly. Everything is still dead center, and it's just a beautiful knife. Now, I'm not a big fan of flipper knives, so if you see a flipper on this channel, you know it is something genuinely special. And this is the Maxace Knives Goliath with a Zircuti bolster, black G10 that has almost like a wood grain feature to it. It's really, really pretty and absolutely insane action. Take a look at that. I literally cannot fail this knife. It deploys on time every time in a beautiful way. And look at that gorgeous Zircuti. That is a fantastic material. And this big beast fits my hand perfectly. Look at that. Fantastic. Now here we have the Medford Fat Daddy, which is still lock stick free and is breaking in beautifully once again. This has this incredible flame anode. This is just a standard kind of matte finish flame anode. Here's phase and flame, so it really has a nice pop of color. Personally, I wish it wasn't a giant M, but it definitely is a cool finish. Fits in my size 2XL hands pretty much perfectly. This thing just feels so good, even barehanded, but with gloves, it's an absolute home run, and I maintain that. Beautiful, fantastic knife. All right, now we get to the random, and oh, that is pretty random. We have a Twosun Knives Shinobi. Very cool flame anode finish. Looks almost like a topographic snake scale, which is very, very interesting. It does match on the opposite side, which I definitely appreciate. A very kind of unique blade shape. It's a Tonto, I guess, but it's also kind of this weird looking kind of chisel piece to it. Like, it's just a really interesting blade. The action's not amazing, but it definitely is good for the price. I think I paid like $45 for this knife, and this thing is really kind of great. Random, I rarely ever carry this knife, but this thing is beautiful. Now here we have a Boker Kalashnikov XL. I actually had to zoom the camera a bit to get this whole piece on camera. This is a big, beautiful, monstrous, stupid, but stupid in the best possible way knife that personally I absolutely love. Aluminum handles with this very nice texture to it, so it really does lock you in hand. This is in the Desert Warrior pattern, which is a Blade HQ exclusive, which is really quite interesting. I genuinely hate this pocket clip, but it's not the worst I've ever felt. It's really, really not good. It has like really, really poor retention. Besides the pocket clip, this knife really is fantastic. Now here we have the Artisan Cutlery Tomahawk. This is a Smoky Mountain Knife Works exclusive in this burlap brown micarta. There appears to be a sketchy tissue stuck under a pocket clip. That is disgusting. Yeah, I don't know if that was a snot rocket or just some straight up love mayo, but either way, that was disgusting and unexpected. But anyways, when the clip is not getting very sketchy things stuck underneath it, it fits very well, has fantastic action, deploys, drops down. Honestly, the action on the Smoky Mountain Knife Works Tomahawk in micarta is a genuine thing of beauty. I love the anodized pivot collar, as well as the back spacer. Nice little bit of safety orange. Overall, it's just a beautiful knife, and it very much fits in my size 2XL hand perfectly. But this thing is contoured in such a way, I think it'll fit anyone's hands perfectly. Personally, I have to use a finger choil, but again, if you have smaller hands, choke back a little bit and it still feels fantastic. Gorgeous micarta scales, D2 blade, fantastic action, budget price. You really can't go wrong. This knife surprised me. Oh, here we have something very cool. This is the Hinderer XM-24. This is modded on both sides by my buddy Steve Kyle, who milled out the original scale and then completely made this other titanium scale, which then has a matching frag pattern. It has 0 hot spots. Everything is contoured perfectly in my hand. The fantastic and dare I say iconic Hinderer clip is very much there. This has a sterile blade, so there's a lightly polished stonewash with no other markings. Besides this very, very subtle S35 VN you can only actually see in certain lights. This knife is very, very smooth. It is a older gen Hinderer, but it still is an absolute beautiful, beautiful knife. Shout out to you, Mr. Steve Kyle and or Knife Pimper on Instagram. That is a terrible name, by the way, but to each his own. Oh, all right. This knife actually is not mine. This is the Demko Knives 8020. This actually belongs to DTOM Knives and Gear and or the second best Kyle of all time. Or at least in our community. I can't quote the whole all-time thing. There's probably been many better Kyles than both of us combined, but in our community, second best for sure. That is a long-standing joke, by the way. There is no true best. At the end of the day, we're both some EDC jackasses, and we just have fun. But this is, again, the Demko Knives 8020. I'm actually not a huge fan of this knife. I definitely do like it, though it does have problems that I will list in upcoming videos. They're not true deal breakers, but I don't know, man. The 8010 is just such a fantastic knife that it's very hard to compete with. In some ways it does, in some ways it doesn't, but either way, it is a really cool knife. I definitely do like it, just don't love it. But as always, that's just personal preference, so if you love it, more power to you. Aho, we have the monster himself. This is the Old Dominion Knife Works made by my good friend Casey Middleton. This thing is an absolute monster, looking like a gigantic overgrown goldfish, and I love it. Once again, the camera is zoomed out to truly do this knife justice. It's fantastic guillotine-like action, this buttery smooth deployment. You can thumb flick it, you can middle finger flick it as well, but for me, this nice slow roll, this very hydraulic, free-dropping knife is just absolutely beautiful. It is a big, honking monster of a knife. It does take up all of my size 2XL hands, but if you are looking to EDC this knife, it's actually pretty thin, and it being as big as it is, coming in at only 13 ounces is actually pretty impressive. Now, to some folks, 13 ounces is insanely heavy. I am not most folks. I am 6'8", 272 pounds. I recently gained weight because I'm getting fatter. So this knife does not seem that crazy when I carry it, and personally I absolutely love it, and I already have a second one being made as we speak. And yes, it will be bigger, fatter, and badder. Casey Middleton over at Old Dominion Knife Works, check him out. I'm telling you, this guy is going to blow up soon, so get on the books now, because his availability will not last. This man makes an incredible knife. Alright, now we have a full custom Brian Ty tiebreaker. This has beautifully contoured and milled out in this crazy little pattern, full titanium scales, a iron cross hardware set as well as pivot. Not entirely sure how I feel about that. A mirror polished blade that is absolutely beautiful. Look at that gigantic forehead right there. Look at that big old ginger forehead. Holy shit, it's hideous. Amazing button lock action that does drop down. It's not perfect, so when you drop it down, it will bounce out, but you can definitely get used to it and basically let go at the right time, and it does secure just fine. But look at that actual blade, which is a fingerprint magnet, obviously. I really kind of hate that about this blade, but it is beautiful when it is cleaned off. And this is an amazing laser beam of a knife. And look at that crazy ass Tonto. Like, this thing is nuts. I'm not normally into flipping knives, but this one does flip perfectly. Though personally, I like being able to slow roll it. Though by doing that, you will get fingerprints all over this blade very, very quickly. So that is definitely a downside. But it does flick out very nicely. Man, oh man, this one sure is pretty. This is the Midtech Knives. Yes, I know it's a terrible name. The Prototype V2. This has beautiful abalone inlays on both sides. A very nice 440C core Damascus blade. A very middle of the road pocket clip. Very unneeded glass breaker. But it also features absolutely incredible, buttery smooth, no resistance, perfect pull action that I could sit here and do this all day long. But my lady's in the next room and she might try to deploy this into my stomach if I don't stop eventually. So we're going to cut that off here. But this is an absolutely beautiful knife that I genuinely love. And it only costs about 180 bucks. Originally, and now they're on sale for like $110. So if you are into this knife, definitely pick one up. They are beautiful. Now here we have a very cool offering from Spyderco Knives. This is the Smock. As you can see, I use my stuff. This blade is whooped and has more very sketchy looking materials on it. Ew, that's disgusting. This one has a aftermarket semi-deep carry clip, flame anodized Raylight titanium scales, and a beautiful, beautiful action. I love the Smock. It's a little too small for my size 2XL hands. Even while using the choil, I still have a pinky hanging off the end of it, which is definitely unfortunate, but it still does feel pretty damn good in hand. And overall, this is a fantastic knife that I really do kind of love. Oh man, now here we have a knife that is the genuine bane of my existence. It is the Quarter Horse Knives General Lee that I literally always pinch myself on. I fucking hate this knife. If this thing doesn't cut you by this weird little opening mechanism and closing mechanism, every time you deploy, this thing will open and then close again and pinch the crap out of you. I have pinched myself so many times holding this damn knife. I don't mind cuts, but I definitely do mind getting pinched. My God, it's like there's little bastard gnomes in here that just see the opportunity to just stab the fuck out of me. I would prefer to just be cut regularly, but instead I'm pinched by this little goddamn mechanical devil. This is a crazy, detailed, intricate designs by Grant and Gavin Hawk. This is number 20 of 100. And while I definitely appreciate how unique this knife is, I don't appreciate the fact that it literally always pinches me. And with all that being said, this knife has little bastard underpants gnomes inside of it. They're just proceeding to stab the shit out of me over and over and over again. So I'm going to end it here. This thing is the devil. But we have a whole bunch of very cool knives coming up. We've done 15. We got a long way to go. So this is part 1 out of apparently ongoing series. As always, folks, I love you all. Take care and bye-bye. Hate this knife.